And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And with me, it is with great pleasure. I'm with one of the greatest to ever do it, possibly the greatest USA Sevens player in the history of our sport, two-time, two-time World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year, the man himself, Perry Baker. Perry, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Josh, I'm good, man. Appreciate the introduction, man. Hey, you just went overboard with it. I don't know if I can say all that, but appreciate it though. It's an honor, man, to be here
Oh,
with you, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
honestly, I feel you've earned every accolade. I mean, we'll go over it with your career, which has been pretty extensive. But man, what you've done in your career, um, let's start it off right now. What you've done with your career has been so extensive. You've hit so many huge goals. Again, two-time Rugby Sevens Player of the Year, and this is the entire world. This isn't just in our United States; it's the entire world. So you're competing with such high caliber players. You are a three-time Olympian. You are also hold the most tries ever scored for an American player, just short of the most tries overall in rugby sevens. Something that again, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to top that. 293 is the number. That's a lot. That's a lot of tries there. So I mean, again, with all those that you've done, what do you feel? Do you feel like in the future that anyone will be able to come close to what you've done in your career?
Um, I don't know, man. It's exciting to see though, for sure. I just don't know how, one, because there's less tournaments now, and there used to be 10 when
Mm,
I started. And
sure.
so we have less tournaments. And then I just don't know yet, man. We're just seeing because the game is growing so much and so many people are now graduating to the game.
Mm,
So, I mean, it's just cool just to have that there, just to sit back and watch too, to see like if people are actually going to shoot for it, you know. But
sure.
it's just an honor for real, and it's just good just to have that accolade under my belt.
There you go. There you go. Now, so let's just go straight into it with your career. 2014 debuted with the Eagles. Let's talk about that. How did you get on the radar of the Eagles program to begin with? Was that something that you already knew about? Did somebody just ring you up one day and go, "Hey, Perry, we have a program in California for the Eagles Sevens. Would you like to try out? Would you like to come?" How did that happen? How did that start for you?
So it was actually on my radar to be honest, and because the guy who introduced me to rugby, he was just always persistent with wanting me to go further in rugby because he believed I can do it. And
Mm,
but my love was football, so I was just
mm,
like, hey man, like after battling trying to get to the NFL and playing arena football, I'm like, I didn't enjoy arena football at all. I just didn't feel like it was real. So I was like, hey,
ah,
after my second year in there, if I don't make it out, I'll go play rugby because he had pitched to me, hey, rugby is going to be in the Olympics and it'll be Olympic sports now come 2016. So
mhm,
my vision that I had was like, is a way to like help my family and everything because I didn't understand all the details that go into it. But I was like, oh man, like I just remember being a kid seeing so many Olympians like on billboards and like cereal boxes and things like that. So I'm like, man, here's my ticket. So I'm like,
mm,
I would love to be an Olympic athlete, you know, like from my little small town where I'm from, and like to be this big figure to like inspire and encourage people, you know. So, um, with that being said, I went to go learn rugby, and I'm like, I need to do this full time to really learn it. And I didn't want to go back to Daytona Beach where I started playing rugby at because it was a club level and it was like
mhm,
wasn't serious enough for me to get where I want to go with it.
got it.
So I was told about an academy that was starting up in Columbus, Ohio. And these guys had a rugby background. They're South African guys, and they had a rugby background where they was taking guys on tours to actually go play rugby, and they was growing the game here. So I went to this academy in Ohio for I want to say they gave me like a 6 month trial. And I went there and I started when I first went there, the first thing they said to me, like, are you ready to like breathe, eat, sleep rugby? And I'm like, yeah. Because I'm like, man, I played football
Mm,
like at some high levels. Like I know what it takes, but it was totally different ball game. Like that's literally
Mm,
what you did. When they said that, that is what you did. From like the moment you wake up to the moment you close your eyes, it was just all rugby, 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 rugby.
wow. And this
Um,
was in Columbus, Ohio?
this wasn't Columbus, Ohio. It's like
Got
everything
it.
was like mandatory. Unless you was a
Mm,
student, then you had a pass to not have to be there in the morning time, but you still had to
mm,
knock out everything else that was needed, which is getting a gym in,
wow.
being at practice at nighttime because we had like two different sessions.
Hmm.
So for guys who was free during the day, you had a session at the facility, and
Hmm.
then after lunch in the afternoon, you would leave to go and do actual training now for the kids that was in college now who are done for the day, or guys who worked during the day, they were done now so they can
Hmm.
come to
Hmm.
practice. So that's
Hmm.
what you did all the time. And then I just fell in love with this
Wow.
grind, like in this hustle.
Mm,
I fell in love with it while I was like in the gym all the time because I was being told like you need to get heavier, you need to gain weight, things like that,
hmm. Hmm.
to be
Hmm.
able to play on the National Seven Series. So I'm like, okay, boom, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it. So that's what it was in Columbus. And I played, and the thing about it though, you played every single weekend. Like every
Oh.
Saturday you played the entire summer like that. And then when the summer's over, you go right into 15s where you had to go play 15s for the local club. So I was playing a
Now,
lot of rugby.
not to interrupt you, Perry. Was the 15s mandatory too, or was that just something they suggested? Hey, why not do something in the off time, play some 15s?
It's pretty much mandatory if you was part of the academy
Wow.
to go play
Okay.
15 as well. Yeah, yeah. Like so
Wow.
like you really played a lot of rugby and it just it
Hmm.
and honestly it really helped. The only thing when people ask me if I ever played 15s, I always tell them yes and no. Like I
Hmm.
played for my club in Daytona and then I went and played with 15s for in Columbus, Ohio, but I just didn't feel like it was real. Like and I
Hmm.
guess why I say that because I guess the way the style we're playing is not accustomed to 15s of how I see it and known it to be, where you have these
Hmm.
big giant guys, they're just smash
Hmm.
ball, smash mouth, and
Hmm.
then they
Hmm.
try and play like one or two times to the width, or they're kicking it 10 times. That's not how
Hmm.
this went for me. It was like,
Hmm.
let's hit a couple crash balls and spread the field and spread the ball wide and have a go. And
Got
I
it.
enjoyed that. Like it wasn't a lot of kicking at all, you know. It was like just get the ball to Perry. So it's like, oh man, I love this. So then with all that being said of going and breathe, eat, sleep rugby, now these guys now are taking me to tournaments where we're playing at nationals, you know, and I'm getting seen by the USA Sevens coaches. And that
Ah.
was my feeder slash pipeline. Like I never forget, we went to play in Rugby Town. First time going to Rugby Town,
Mm,
we played in Rugby
mm.
Town.
Got it.
And
Got it.
I play this team just full of studs, and
Hmm.
we end up losing, which was the semifinals. We end up losing the semifinals by the final play. We're losing at half. I didn't even start the game. We're losing at half. I come in after halftime and boom, put us back in the game right away. So now we're in
Mm.
the game, and I want to say we're up, right? And we kick the ball off. They get the kickoff, and they go score all the way, and they go score no time left. Bam, game over.
Ah.
Well, after doing this type of stuff for a little while, playing like these big tournaments. I finally get my shot because Mike Friday became
Hmm.
the head coach for the USA Sevens,
Hmm.
and him and Chris Brown was his assistant. And Mike Friday first came in. This is all new to him, the USA. So he used to host these like big incubator slash camps where he invite a
Mm.
lot of talent to come into here for like two or
Got
three
it.
days, and you just play rugby. They put you through skill
Hmm.
blocks, and then you're
Hmm.
playing. You do fitness from
Hmm.
weights to field to gym
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
outside now skill level, and then you play games, right?
Hmm.
So that was how I made my way in. So when I got invited to one of these camps, the rest was kind of history after that. But why I tell you the Rugby Town story is because once I finally got to the national team, the team that we lost to in the semifinals, all
Hmm.
those boys played on the national team. So
On
I'm
the
like,
USA Eagles.
yeah. So I'm like, man, I'm like, man, I remember you. Like, oh snap, you. So at
Mm.
the time, I wasn't aware. I didn't know anything about rugby like that.
Sure.
So at the
Sure.
time,
Sure.
what the team we played was the U23 All-Americans.
Got it. Yep. That
So
makes sense. That makes
yeah,
sense then.
so yeah, so then that started all unraveling, making sense to me now. I'm like,
Hmm.
dang, like, I had no idea. Like when they
Mm.
said Olympic sport, I just wanted to play. I wanted to be an Olympic athlete, you know.
Hmm.
So I had no idea how the sevens went. I had no idea they toured the world like that. So when they be
Mm-hmm.
talking to me about Carlin Isles, which became
Mm-hmm.
one of my best buddies, they
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Oh, he's on tour right now," and I'm like, "What do you mean on
What do you mean
tour?" I don't.
tour?
Yeah, it never registered to me. Like they're telling me this,
Sure,
but none of
sure.
it ever registered to me. Like what they're
Mm-hmm.
talking
Mm-hmm.
about. And then
Mm-hmm.
like I never watched a single tournament at all.
Sure,
Like
sure.
for simple reasons, like the time frames. Like I'm sleeping now. Like I'm grinding
Mm-hmm.
all during the day, and then I'm sleeping now when I can get
Mm-hmm.
some rest. So I never ever got to watch. And then finally one day, the national team, this before I got there though, they were playing in I was still in Columbus, Ohio. They were playing in Vegas.
Mm.
And I got a like couple phone calls, like 2 or 3 phone calls about this guy, Carlin Isles, like how fast he was,
Yeah.
because I was really
Mm-hmm.
fast at the time. Like
Sure, sure.
this is like my prime. I was really fast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I get this I get a phone call talking about this kid Carlin Isles. So I turn on the television and bam, there is LA Las Vegas Sevens. And when
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching, I see South Africa playing, and I see this
Mm-hmm.
guy, South Africa, and they were just saying how
Mm-hmm.
he was just a World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year, and I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
the hell? I'm like, they're beating me down about my size, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
bigger than
But look at
him.
this guy.
Yeah, and this dude, he was balling though. He was destroying
Sure.
everyone.
Yeah,
So
South
I'm
Africa is
like,
one of the best.
yeah.
Yeah.
So right then and there, I'm like, I can do this. I can play this
Mm,
game. I know I can.
mm,
I know what I
mm,
can bring to this
mm,
game. So
mm.
he was a big inspiration to me watching him and what he
Interesting.
did. Yeah.
Interesting. That's
So then I
interesting.
text my boys back and I'm like, you'll see me there next year. I'll be there next year.
Ah, there you go.
So then the following year, I'm with Columbus, Ohio. I'm with the Academy in Columbus, and we actually play in the invitationals for Vegas, which we were playing
Mm,
outside. And there was a
mm,
lot of guys who played on international level that was playing outside. Like I remember playing against Serevi Selects was the name of the
oh,
team.
okay. I've
So
heard of them.
Serevi, which is the king of sevens, he's the coach now. He
Yeah.
had people like Matt Turner playing over there. Ben
Mm,
Gollins was the coach. So you have all these big time players who are actually playing
mm.
or either their coach.
Right.
So after that, I'm like, man, I told them this would be the year I'd be in Vegas, and God provided that I'm here, but I'm not playing in
That's
what I want to
awesome.
play in.
Right, right.
You know? So
It's still very awesome.
yeah, so the
So,
next time frame, bam, I was in Vegas after I got the invite to go to San Diego to the camps.
okay. So there you go. So then you get the invite, and then you go through the system of the Eagles. And again, once you get to the actual system with the Eagles, is it pretty much similar to what you already experienced with Columbus, Ohio? Eat, sleep, train, play, practice, or is it a little bit different?
Nah, that basically what it was. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was, but I just didn't like because it was club what I was at with Columbus, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but I didn't understand like the fitness level it took. So it was really
Ah,
huge for me to get fit because I get there, man, and like I get there like midweek, I go through training, and then they say, bam, Saturday you're in for another session. It's just a conditioning block. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
what? So I'm doing like all this conditioning stuff, man, which is crazy, but like it definitely like the academy definitely gave me an insight on how things would be besides the
Mm-hmm.
fitness level because I didn't understand how fit you need to be to play the game.
So let's talk about that fitness level because, again, we have a lot of fans that are watching this video that are not necessarily the biggest rugby fans, but they're getting there. Okay. So they've watched maybe a couple of 15s, maybe a couple of sevens, but I don't think, and I would consider myself a fit guy, but even I watch sevens, and especially after a grueling match, and you see all 14 players just on the ground, exhausted. How physically demanding is a sevens game?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's 7 minutes of just nonstop excitement. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
no timeout, like reset, go do the play. It's just continuous going,
Mm-hmm.
and it is taxing on the body, physically
Mm-hmm.
and mentally, because
Mm-hmm.
it's about when we do the fitness stuff, it's about getting in your mind to go to a dark place where you think you can't go anymore.
Ah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
and that's the
yeah.
game. Like when you feel like, man, I just ran and chased somebody down, made a tackle, and now I got to play attack now, and I got to go at the other end of the field, like
With the
90
ball.
meters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I got to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to tackle me. I got to get up, work
Mm-hmm.
back
Mm-hmm.
to reset, move the ball to one side. Like that's a lot. And you're like, man, I'm hanging, but it's like the team needs you because it's only a minute to go in the game, and we're
Right,
either winning or we're down, but we need to keep the
right,
ball. We need to score. Whatever
right,
we're gonna
right,
do, we need the ball.
right.
So
Plus,
it's
there's only seven of you,
right.
so every one of you matters, right?
Yep.
So, all right.
Yep.
So now that you're in the Eagles program and you get the official you are going to play, what was going through your head when you had your first tour, when you actually went out around the world to play rugby sevens? How huge was that for you?
Oh man, I was over the moon to be honest. Because and how it came to me was the guy who introduced me to rugby. When we was talking, he was like, "Now you have to make the team." I'm like, "The heck you talking about? I already signed a contract." So I didn't know out of all the players that's there, which would be like
hmm
25 of us, 26 of
hmm
us,
hmm
it only goes to 12 to travel.
Right, right, right.
So I had no
Seven starting, five reserve. Right.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
no idea about that. I just was like, I signed a
Mm,
contract. I'm here. They gave me a contract for 6 months
mm,
and now, so now when like we have our like high performance camp ordeal or whatnot, and it's basically the selection for the team. So now when they say, hey guys, we're gonna announce the team after training today, I'm like, oh snap. This what he's talking about make the team. So
mm,
I thought they was naming the team by alphabetical order,
mm.
okay? Because they named Danny Barrett,
Yeah, there you
okay.
go. Hmm. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
B.
And then
Hmm.
yeah, they named Garrett Bender. So I'm like, okay, these guys had already been there. So I'm thinking
Right.
I'm right in this realm with these guys though, because
Right.
you know what I mean,
Right.
by going with the B's in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're going down. I'm like, okay, I don't hear my name yet. All right, whatever. I don't hear my name. Okay, sure, I don't hear my name. So they steady going, they steady talking, and then all of a sudden I hear my name called. Bam. And I just start bawling, dude. Like I get outside and I start
Mm,
bawling. And like some of
that's
the team, you
awesome.
see me, they congratulate me. And I'm like, man, I did it. I did it. And like I had no and my Carlo was like my biggest fan, man. He was my biggest fan, my biggest helper, my brother. Like we became really close.
Mm,
And he was like, bro, you're gonna carve the series up. You're gonna tear it up, I'm telling you. And then I went there and I finally get put into a game and I had a great tournament. And it was just a lot of fun. I was like, this what he meant about going. And now, like, we went to, I want to say we were in Gold Coast. I want to say it was Gold
yes.
Coast.
Gold Coast, right,
Yeah,
was your first in Australia.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
my first one. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm like,
Hmm.
man, like we're at the beach. I'm like, man, I've never been out the country like that. So I'm like, this is dope. Like, this is fire. Like, we're out of the country right now, like having a good time. Like, just the chemistry, the camaraderie. That's what brought me to rugby was the camaraderie and
Hmm.
stuff. And it's like
Hmm.
chemistry we was having like the good times and enjoyment. And then now we get to play on the weekend. And I'm like, man, my family's actually tuned in watching this stuff. Like, this is dope. So I was
That's
just so
cool.
pumped, man. It was just a
Mhm.
blessing, to be honest, man.
And that first year, you were also on the short list of nominees for Rookie of the Year. So, how amazing was that for you to not only, like Carlin Isles said, you're going to carve it up, but you proved that as now you are being in the front runner of Rookie of the Year, possibly to be Rookie of the Year in your very first year on an international level competition.
Yeah. I mean, it felt good. I mean, I just felt like it was huge just to say where we were and where we were trying to get to as an American team, and
Mm,
just how close we were as a brotherhood at the time.
hmm.
Like
Hmm.
what it took even to get to that opportunity. Like these guys, I really couldn't have done it without my teammates. Like the things that they were doing
Hmm.
to set me up, to free me up, to put me away. Because as speedster, your job is to finish. And,
Right.
and I look back at it and it's like so many times like these dudes have worked so hard. So when I can't finish, I look back and they just like chilling on the halfway mark. So it's like, okay, they did their part. I had to finish
Right.
for
Now
them.
it's
You know what I
you.
mean?
Now it's
Yeah.
you.
So it,
Yeah.
it it felt good though just to be nominated for it. And then like to lose it to Jerry Tua. If you like
Hmm.
you can't say Fiji rugby or you can't say rugby without mentioning the Jerry Tua name.
Oh yeah, the
So
little magician. Oh yeah, the little
yeah, yeah.
magician. Yes.
So it feels okay to lose it to a person like Jerry. You know what I mean? A
Oh
good guy. He
sure.
was just an all around good guy, wholesome, God fearing man. So
Hmm.
hey, it's just a honor just to be mentioned with Jerry Tua. To be
There
in
you
that
go.
that realm.
There you go. Now, 2016. Let's skip a little bit. You talked about the aspiration of why you wanted to be in rugby in the first place, the Olympics. So 2016, Rio Olympics, you're there. How huge was that for you to be officially an Olympian representing the United States?
Oh man, it was everything, man. I think it was just an eye opener for like a lot of people back home too, to be like, man, this dude Perry from little New Smyrna Beach, like my boy I grew up with, like just a
Hmm.
knucklehead, like to now see where he is, like to see the actual grind, like it was real, like he made a dream a reality. It was felt so good, like man, and I never forget just being in a place where so many other athletes are and people that I
Hmm.
watch as a teenager growing up on television all the time,
Hmm.
and then like to be right there, right next to them having conversation, it was everything, man. I mean, it just felt so good. It's like it was almost like I we did it, like we made it here, and like you
Hmm.
think about that year, like I don't know who gave us a chance to even make it to the Olympics in
Hmm.
2016, that first year,
Hmm.
because we had went in 2014. It was almost where we wasn't even gonna be on the series. And we was
Right.
ranked like almost last out of 16 teams. It was like thir 13 or 14th in the world, and then
Hmm.
like so you don't have a chance to make it to the Olympic Games being that far
Hmm.
down, but making it there, like where we came from to get where we were, I mean, it was everything. And then like just the belief in how we can go earn a medal, it was an amazing feeling, man. It was the best, to be honest.
That's awesome. And then not only do you get to do it that once with Rio, you did it again in Japan, and then you just did it recently in France as well. So being I mean, again, let's just talk about that. Not many people, very, very few people can claim they are at least a Olympian. Even less people can claim they're a multi-time Olympian. You've done it 3 times. I mean, how huge is that for you? Is that like the biggest accomplishment of your career? Or, I mean, I'm assuming it has to be up there, right?
Um, I would say just making it to the Olympics my first year was like the biggest accomplishment there. Doing it like two more times after that, I don't know if it's the same way I view other things, value other things
Mm,
rather, even though I understand
okay.
how hard it is to get there and
Hmm.
everything. But I don't know. It's like, man, my accomplishment is like what I like when people tell me I'm playing rugby because of you, or I found this game because of you, like that's
Mm,
bigger than to me, bigger than being an Olympian athlete, you know what I
ah,
mean? Or being
yeah.
a three-time Olympian, it's like me giving back. Like right now, like I watched a kid when he was like 9 years old. I started
Hmm.
doing Perry Baker rugby camps with a partner of
Hmm.
mine named Charlie Purdon in California here. And this kid was 9 years old, and like right now, he just played in the U18s in New
Oh, that's
Zealand
cool.
representing.
That's
And
cool.
I
That's
just
cool.
watching this kid grow up, it's been so
Sure.
rewarding. And you know what I mean?
Sure.
Just to see
Yeah.
how he grinded out, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
any type of inspiration I've given him or aspire him to do,
Hmm.
it's amazing feeling, and that's bigger to me because this game is giving me so much. And for this young man to now be traveling the world playing this game from the work that he put in, reaping what he sowed, it just feels so good, man.
That's awesome. Well, and that's very poignant because you know my story, my relationship with you. Because a little backstory for those who are watching this, we met just recently at the Rugby Tens Championship down in San Juan Capistrano. But I had the fortunate honor to work side by side with you. But I told you you're the reason why I started watching Rugby Sevens in the first
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Because you were, and we're getting right to that point, 2017. You were the ace by far of the USA team. I mean, obviously, we got to give our flowers to Carlin Isles, Madison Hughes, Barrett as well. But I mean, come on. It was all Perry Baker. It was all Perry Baker. Try tie, Perry Baker. So you really were the reason why I started watching, and I continued becoming a fan of USA Sevens just because Perry Baker was scoring tries by the hundreds at that point. So, so let's talk about that. So 2017, first year you win the World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. The world, this isn't just USA. You are considered the best sevens player in the world. How huge was that when you found out you won that award?
That was huge. It was huge, man. Like I felt like that helped like put USA on the map if we wasn't already there because you have an American now being
Hmm.
considered the best in the world at what they're
Right.
doing, which is
Hmm. Hmm.
huge. It's like
Hmm.
the saying is you have woke the sleeping giants, and
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
it just and I just felt like it was just a test to just say that all the hard work we've put in, like man, like we're achieving some great things, as a team and as an individual here. But man, it just felt so good, man. Like people don't know, like just man, like the grind it took me. Like I tried to like people don't know, man. I tried to come to the national team, man, back in like 2006, 2007,
Hmm. Okay.
when
Okay.
Al Calaveri was the head coach. I tried to
Hmm.
come back all the way then. I tried to come when Alex Malgeby was the coach in 2012. I
Hmm.
tried to come when what is his name right now? Geez, Matt Hawkins was the coach. No, no,
Oh.
no buzzing there, So I was grinding the entire time. And then
Hmm.
finally I get my chance, and then bam, the rest was like kind of history from everything that man, like just it was all about the work ethic, man. Like I just felt so good now to achieve these type of things that I was achieving and accomplishing, and there's like and like I said, my goals and views always change, it was
Hmm.
always changing. It was like what's my goal? What am I doing it for now? And it was always something different. And like I said, and for me, what I realized for this is just me personally, what I think life is
Hmm.
about, it's about helping others if you can, and where I was at the time, I was like, man, this is gonna help someone. Like I had kids reaching
Hmm.
out to me, asking me to come watch them play rugby. And I'm like, when I was a kid, I had people I idolized and that I looked up to and I would love to have met. Work done was one of them, and
Oh, okay.
like to meet these guys when I was a kid would have been everything for me. So
Hmm.
now I'm like, man, I'm this guy now, this figure that
Hmm.
people want to like to meet. It's like I never know what it can do for them, so I go meet them. So having that award was just everything and some.
I like it. So let's now transition because that's a great way to segue now to the future of Perry Baker post Rugby Sevens career. Again, you had an amazing career, 293 tries, second highest, just to a gentleman who also I'm a big fan of, Dan Norton, who has the most tries in history, one of the best as well. Seventh most points in all of Rugby Sevens, 1,467. So huge, huge career. You officially made it earlier this year. The announcement that you will no longer be doing Rugby Sevens, at least for now. I talked about you before, at least for now. So now, where is Perry Baker now? I know that you are coaching a couple places. You're taking part in helping out with the Rugby Sevens program itself, but you are also running something called Flag Rugby X. So, what is Flag Rugby X, Perry?
So when Flag Rugby S was introduced to me, it was about a way to kind of shift from being a player, international player, to having my own business, to grow my own business. So I have a working something I have set up to have I can go into a job basically. And
Mm-hmm.
what I realized when I was started to say yes, I'm on board to do this was it's a way to introduce rugby to newcomers. It's a way to
Mm-hmm.
introduce rugby to get alumni back involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way that your clubs can raise money and become sustainable now. It's a way
Mm-hmm.
to have just a way for everyone to just have fun, enjoy themselves, and host their own events. And then at the end of the day, I just feel like this was a way to grow the game in America. And so with Flag X, I mean, it's everyone who looks at rugby and I talk to, they enjoy the game, but so many people are like, man, it's such a brutal game. It's physical.
Yep.
Like you
Oh
guys
yeah.
don't wear pads. So
Yeah.
now, so now with Flag X, like, okay, you get rid of the flags. I mean,
Hmm.
you get rid of the contact and you put the
Hmm.
flags in there. Now
Hmm.
you're playing the same style of play with just no contact. All right.
Hmm.
So now everyone is a part of the rugby community. So now they can
Right.
say they play rugby, which
Right.
is
Because anyone can do it.
yes, which is phenomenal now because now people feel like they're a part of the community for sure because they can say they play
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
Um, So it's a way to introduce it and get alumni back involved. Alumni people stop playing because of one, maybe injuries, or two, just the
Hmm.
contact. They don't want to do the hitting no
Yeah.
more.
Right,
So
right,
come
right.
back in, throw the footy around. You can go in for 1 minute, you can go in for 10 seconds, you can go in for 5 seconds. Whatever you
Hmm.
want. This is how we're doing Flag X. And then at the end of
Hmm.
the day, though, it's a cool fundraising tool now for you to earn money. One
Hmm.
as referees, one for a
Hmm.
lot of coaches like who volunteer. It's a lot of coaches who volunteer and don't get paid for their time. But with
Hmm.
this is an opportunity, this is a tool for you to be earning money now by
Hmm.
giving your time and doing rugby. At the same time, and hosting these events where now people who are playing these events, you can charge them whatever you choose to charge them to want to play in these events
Hmm.
per player. So now the money can go back into the club. The club can be sustainable now because you're hosting these events throughout the year. So
Got
now
it.
it's not
Got
where
it.
clubs are falling apart now. Now they're able to come to the top of the surface and continue to go, go, go. And I feel like the more we can get this across the states, the more now people will be like, oh, I have rugby in my town now. Because a lot of
Hmm.
people is reaching out to me like, man, how do I get involved in rugby? Where do I go play? Like where I live is no rugby. Here, I got a tool for you that you can start right here. It's easy and simple to get going, and you can raise money and you can start building your clubs.
There you go. And from what I understand, you also now are working with the National Collegiate Rugby system as well. So you guys are now at the college level too. So not just club, but college level as well. And I'm assuming you're also trying to expand it to young kids, to every level of every age group playing it.
Yep. For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely spot on, man. And it was a big deal for us to sign with NCR. It was
Hmm.
huge for us to get them on board. And so I just feel like in due time everything is gonna just rocket and just take off, man.
Just
Because
like you, just like you.
and everything it starts and then it builds up, and I feel like
Hmm.
what we're doing with Dallin on board and, and,
Hmm.
and introducing it to clubs, getting clubs
Hmm.
involved with it, and
Hmm.
and now we're starting to host events now where people can
Hmm.
see what's actually happening with these events. Because at the end of the day, it's almost like when you look at CrossFit, there's a leaders
Hmm.
board. All
Right.
right. So you have a leaders board. Everything is done through an app. You will have a leaders board where you're playing locally, but you're
Hmm.
playing actual global too. Because when you wake up, you can see where you are on this leaders board because what they did while you were sleeping. So
Right.
now you know what I mean. You have that little
Yeah.
challenge
No,
now too at the
everybody,
same
yeah,
time.
because everybody loves a little competition. Everybody
Yeah.
lives a little competition just to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
where they are, like you said,
Correct.
around the
Yeah.
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
I think that's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So
Mhm.
we have the Flag Rugby X, also coaching, and you're also doing some coaching in your area in San Diego, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I said, man, I was just always wanted to coach. Like I found like my niche of what wanting to coach. And I would
Hmm.
I would like harp on Mike Friday so hard about allowing me to be a player coach. And
Sure.
so he started helping me out with that transition. And he would say to me though, you're gonna be a player before a coach though. Because I'm like, oh man,
Okay.
because he still wanted me to play, like
Sure.
be all into playing. So
Sure.
um so now that I transitioned into coaching, it's like I was just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, like
Hmm.
opportunities to see what sticks for me,
Hmm.
and opportunity kind of fell in my lap with one of my old teammates who was leaving San Diego. He was working here first, and they kind of plugged me in to be a high school coach, which is
Hmm.
at Francis Parker High School, which I'm
Hmm.
enjoying. It's a lot of fun. I love it, and it's like it's high school, so I have a lot to share with these kids.
Hmm.
And a lot and like right now, honestly, we have 26 kids. This is the most the school has ever had come out. And with the 26, I want to say more than half are first time rugby players ever playing rugby.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
Wow.
amazing.
That
So a
is.
lot of kids are coming out from the school, which is great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it, man. Really having a good
That's
time.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about this when we were on Rugby Tens, and I kidded about you, but man, you and Friday kind of compete with each other about who gets more energetic about calls and everything. I mean, you're doing the same thing that Friday is doing. You're like, oh, come on, Ram, or hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Like, I could see it. I could totally see you being a coach. You definitely have this niche of seeing how plays develop, trying to help players develop. And again, you mentioned it before, you seem very passionate about giving back to the
Mhm.
community, especially younger players. And I
Correct.
feel and honestly, just as a former athlete myself, who better to learn from than people who have earned so much in their careers? So you in particular, I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome to say Perry Baker is my coach.
Yeah.
Not too many people can say that, and that's very very cool. So. All right, so I'll obviously leave information on Flag Rugby X in our interview. I'll plug in all that. Uh, Anything else you want to plug before we start wrapping up this interview?
Um, Nah, I just want to give shout out to Nyack though. Nyack has been in my corner supporting me, and they're giving me an opportunity because they asked me to come coach there this summer for their
Mm.
sevens program, which is really cool. So
Uh,
I have an opportunity to go back to Nyack, which is New York Athletic Club, and do some coaching there,
nice.
which is really cool, you know. And
Hmm.
it's all about just like networking, fellowshipping at the same time, you know. So
Sure.
it's pretty cool. So
That's
shout out
awesome.
to Nyack for the opportunity. I'm
There you
excited to
go.
see what happens this summer.
Now, as we wrap up, so again, I've been a huge fan of your career since I started watching you in 2017. Another pivotal moment of your career, and I'm very proud to say I witnessed it. And we talked about this before, was in 2020, you and Carlin Isles fighting over who's going to hit the 200 try marker first. And just coincidentally, you both were able to do it in LA. But let's talk about the build up to it. Were you guys, I mean, I'm assuming you guys are very competitive, but were you guys really competitive about who's going to hit that marker first, or did it matter to you guys at all?
Uh, I don't think it mattered too much. It didn't matter too really. Like we're roommates on every tour.
Mm,
Like we were roommates, and I don't think it mattered. I just think that the height that they built on was pretty cool, but I don't think
mm,
it mattered. You know, like it's never been like you over me or what's getting done first kind of deal. It was just
mm,
always it was just a support for real from
mm,
both
mm.
ends. Like so it just but you know like the hype behind stuff like that is pretty cool, but.
Right,
It honestly didn't matter. It didn't matter if he hit it the week before or I hit it the
right,
week before. It really didn't
right.
matter because at the end of the day, this I we'll be at the same part if we both played at the same time all
Hmm.
throughout our whole career. You know, like
Hmm.
because this dude is so fast, man. You
Yep.
give him an inch, and when they
Oh
say
yeah.
the saying is, give an inch, take a mile,
Hmm.
aisles for miles. He is gone.
Yeah, he was. He was fast.
Yes,
But
sir.
so and just so that nobody who didn't witness it, if they wanted to know, technically Isles got the mark first,
Yeah.
but Perry Baker literally right after got his 200th after that. Again, I was there. I was so happy for both of you. I thought that was such a phenomenal thing to witness. Speaking of the speed, have you and Isles ever really raced against each other, like legit tried to see who was the fastest?
No, we've never taken off and just did a foot race, but
Mm.
I'm gonna tell you he's faster for sure. Like
Oh, okay.
we used to do I used to train with him with speed a little bit, and we used to do like tempos or
Mm.
whatnot. And I never forget, man. It's like we used to have to say it because I'd be like, we always throw a little challenge in there, like, hey man, I'm coming out of practice and I'm coming for you. I'm turning up today, man. So you better be ready. And
Mm.
I never forget they snap a picture and it's like I have this big smile on my face trying to get away from him and he's like reaching
Mm.
for me at the same time because he would have this saying to me. He was like like a snake if you close I'm striking, I'm getting you.
Oh, there you
And
go. There you go.
that picture, he was like coming for me right there. So I'll never forget it, man. He was like, I'm telling you, bro, I tell you every time I'm close, I'm striking. So
Yeah.
we were running these 60-meter tempos, and I never forget, man, I'm gone. And I can and
Hmm.
you're right there. And I'm like, I'm gonna make
Hmm.
this 60 on him right now. And I'm like, I know where I'm at now. All of a sudden, man, this dude just start pulling away from me. Pulling away. And I just
Mm.
lose all form. I'm like, this dude is fast as hell. So I'm like, and
Mm.
then to watch him, man, the way he trained, our training session was tough, but he
Hmm.
would go down to the track doing sessions, like in between our breaks, and he'd be at the track running, like doing sprints and stuff, extra stuff. Like running was his life though. Like that's
Mm.
everything he ever did. That's what all was about him was running. And I just knew that when I watched him, because he wouldn't race some guys. He would go and run in track meets and he'll race guys, and they would say, okay, race me in 30, race me in 40. And he would know how to turn it on to beat somebody in 20 meters and 30 meters. So when we run
Hmm.
60 meters, he'll know how to hold what he need to hold and then turn it on to
Hmm.
finish. So I'm like,
Wow.
when you look at track athletes and just regular athletes who are like basketball, football, whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
track
Hmm.
athletes know how to run. This is what they do.
Right. Right. For a living.
This
That's
is
what they
what
do.
they
Yeah.
do. So when I be seeing the
Hmm.
talks about football players wanting to race, track players, dude, it won't even be close. It will not be close. I don't care if you are who they call a cheetah. Dude, you ain't
Right.
racing no track athlete, bro. And you finna whoop them. This is what they do day in and day out. They know
Got
what
it.
they're doing, dude. They're
Right.
the
Right.
best in the world for a reason. Like,
Hmm.
it's not close, man. So
Hmm.
with Carlin Isles, dude can run. He was definitely faster. Like he could
That's
hit that
faster.
point quicker for sure.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Now, as we wrap up this interview, last question for you. So again, we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I just want to see where your mindset is with your career. So again, phenomenal, wonderful career. And I think you've already mentioned what you took out of it. But through all the accolades, through all the accomplishments, through all the opportunities that came to you that a little boy growing up where you grew up never thought would ever come to you, what was the biggest moment of your rugby career?
I feel like it's too many to put in one, but
Right.
I would have to say like making the team could be is one of them, but then I would say like winning on our home soil, and
In
then
Vegas. Hmm.
yeah, and then I would have to say like being back to back World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year, which has never happened.
Hmm.
And then I will have to throw in there like being an Olympic athlete, like making it to become an Olympic athlete because
Hmm.
that you it's 4 years and so much can happen in 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To where you can't make it again and where things are
Right.
different,
Right.
it's crazy, man. You know what I mean? So it's just too much to say like this is the overall one, but
Hmm.
those are some big ones that stand out for me,
And they're
like
huge. Those are huge. Those are
oh yeah,
huge.
heck yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are some big ones for me, man.
That's awesome. That's
And
awesome. Well,
it may
Perry,
be Vegas. It may
and
be
maybe
Vegas
Vegas.
overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of kicked myself because I had the opportunity to go to Vegas. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it. And then, what? Of course, you guys win it in Vegas. I was like, of
Yeah.
course, the first tournament USA ever wins. You do it in
Correct.
Vegas. I was like,
Yeah.
but
And the
that's
teams that we beat to win it, like, and I think the reason why it's so big for me, I just think that because I had so many family and friends there. Like my
watching.
parents were there,
Sure,
yeah, my wife
sure,
was there and stuff.
sure,
Like
sure,
it was huge.
sure.
And then to
Yeah,
people to storm the field and stuff, man,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome. It was
That's
awesome.
cool. Well, again, Perry, I always appreciate you, brother. I tell I tell a couple of my friends, and they're not rugby fans at all, but I tell a couple of friends that it's always awesome to meet really great people that you admire, that you consider your heroes. Whether it is athletes or celebrities, or anything like that. I tell a lot of my friends, like you guys wouldn't believe it. I met the Perry Baker, and he is such a cool dude. You know,
Appreciate that,
not
Josh.
only the
Appreciate it.
fact that you are what you are, we just went over the accomplishments that you had, but the fact that you are genuinely such a cool dude. I do appreciate you for that and your time going over all this. Again, putting down the info, Flag Rugby X, check that out. Perry runs that. That's blowing up around the world. And of course,
Uh,
you might see. Are you going to be traveling with the team, with the sevens team, anytime soon?
I don't know if I can let that out of the bag yet. We'll
Oh,
see.
okay, okay.
We'll
Well,
just see what
well, okay.
happens. We'll see what
Well,
happens. I
might
may be
might
back.
pop up might pop up on the HSBC Sevens tour, but
Yeah,
either
yeah,
way, again, I'm hoping for both of us. I'm hoping I get to cross paths with you again, and hang
sure.
out with you because again, you're such a cool dude. So, but again, Perry, thank you very much for joining us here on the Rugby411, and thank you fans for watching. Again, put down in the comments, like the video, subscribe, share it out. Again, Perry Baker's such a great dude. Follow him on all of his Instagrams and socials. I'll put that in the information as well. And again, Perry Baker, thank you very much for your time, and I
Appreciate
appreciate
you,
it, brother.
Josh. It was an honor, man. Appreciate you. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.